Have you ever wondered why Taiwan is so much richer than China? In 1949, Taiwan's population surged by a whopping 25% in less than 3 years. This was largely due to an influx of soldiers as the Republic of China's government retreated from a war they had lost. At this time, Taiwan was in the throes of extreme poverty. Fast forward to today, and Taiwan has transformed into one of the most developed countries in the world. Excelling in education, democracy and industry, Taiwan is home to companies like Foxconn that dominate global electronics production. But how did this transformation take place? How did a poor, war-torn island become an economic powerhouse? It certainly didn't happen overnight. Instead, it was the result of a series of strategic decisions and events. This transformation is a testament to Taiwan's resilience and spirit, and a fascinating tale of economic triumph. Before becoming a beacon of prosperity, Taiwan endured a period of struggle during its time as a Japanese colony. This era was marked by underdevelopment and widespread poverty. The island's economy was primarily agricultural, with little to no industry to speak of. However, the Japanese administration introduced reforms that sparked growth in the agricultural sector and led to the island's modernization. As the shadow of World War II loomed, Taiwan found itself in the crossfire. The war and its aftermath dealt a devastating blow to Taiwan's infrastructure and budding industrial zones, leaving the island in a state of disrepair. The end of the war also signaled the end of the Japanese era, and in the aftermath, Taiwan was returned to Chinese control. In 1945, Taiwan returned to Chinese control, marking a new chapter in its history. This period would see Taiwan rising from the ashes of war and poverty to become a global economic powerhouse. 1947 marked a turning point for Taiwan with the February 28th incident. This was a seismic event that shook the very foundations of the island's society, leading to widespread social unrest and a severe crisis. Amidst this chaos, the island's resources were sorely mismanaged during the Chinese Civil War, which exacerbated the crisis. In the midst of these tumultuous times, the Kuomintang, or KMT government that had fled to Taiwan from mainland China, had a monumental task at hand. Their objective was to stabilize the economy, a feat that seemed almost impossible given the dire circumstances. But they had a plan. The KMT government decided to utilize China's vast gold reserves, a treasure trove that had been brought over during their retreat. This, coupled with substantial aid from the United States, provided a lifeline for the beleaguered island. But the KMT government knew that this was only a temporary solution. They had to devise a long-term strategy to pull Taiwan out of its economic quagmire. And so they turned to one of the oldest and most critical sectors of their economy: the land. The government initiated sweeping land reforms, a bold move that would transform the economic landscape of Taiwan. These reforms were designed to redistribute wealth from the rich landowners to the poor farmers. Not only was this a socially just move, but it also had profound economic implications. The farmers, now empowered with their own land, were able to increase agricultural output. This led to a degree of self-sufficiency that had previously been unimaginable. Land reforms became a critical part of Taiwan's economic recovery strategy. It marked the first step in the island's remarkable journey from an impoverished, war-torn region to one of the world's most developed economies. The story of Taiwan's economic success is a testament to the power of determined leadership, strategic planning, and the indomitable spirit of its people. Despite initial improvements, Taiwan faced an economic crisis by the late 1950s. The island's economic growth was stalling, and the government knew something had to change. So they made a bold decision to shift from an agrarian economy to an export-oriented industrial one. It was a gamble, but one that would pay off handsomely. The first step in this grand plan was the creation of export processing zones. These were specific areas where factories were established, and they were given special incentives to produce goods for export. The government provided infrastructure, waived certain taxes and duties, and essentially created a fertile ground for manufacturing to flourish. And flourish it did. The export processing zones were a resounding success. They attracted both domestic and foreign investment, and soon Taiwan was producing a wide array of goods, from textiles and toys to electronics and machinery. But the government didn't stop there. They knew that to truly succeed, they needed to harness the power of the masses. And so they encouraged the formation of subcontracting networks. Rural families across Taiwan started small-scale manufacturing operations right in their homes. They were given raw materials, designs and specifications, and they would produce parts or finished goods. These were then collected, assembled if necessary, and exported. This system allowed even the poorest families to participate in the industrial boom, and it led to a rapid expansion of manufacturing across the nation. However, Taiwan didn't want to remain a low-cost manufacturing hub forever. They had bigger dreams. They wanted to move up the value chain, to produce high-tech goods that commanded higher prices. And so they invested heavily in education, particularly in science and technology. They established research institutions and encouraged companies to do the same. By focusing on education and high-tech manufacturing, Taiwan began to thrive. They were no longer just making cheap toys and textiles, they were making semiconductors and computers. They were no longer just following designs, they were creating them. They were no longer just participants in the global economy, they were leaders. And this transformation from an agrarian backwater to a high-tech powerhouse is one of the most remarkable economic success stories of the 20th century. The Plaza Accord in 1985 had a significant impact on Taiwan's economy. This international agreement, designed to devalue the US dollar against the yen and the Deutsche Mark, had ripple effects across the globe. One of the unintended beneficiaries was Taiwan. The new Taiwan dollar experienced an increase in value by a whopping 50%. The surge in value of the new Taiwan dollar brought with it a wave of prosperity. Property prices soared, as did the stock market. But this was not entirely a bed of roses. The manufacturing sector, which had been a key driver of Taiwan's economic growth, felt the pinch. Profits were squeezed as the cost of exporting their goods shot up due to the increased value of their currency. But Taiwan was not to be deterred. The nation took this as an opportunity to re-evaluate and reform. The government began a series of political reforms that would reshape the country's future. The martial law, which had been in place for nearly 4 decades, was finally lifted. This marked a significant step towards a more democratic Taiwan. The lifting of martial law was more than just a symbolic gesture. It opened the door to the formation of opposition parties, injecting a healthy dose of competition into Taiwan's political arena. This encouraged a more vibrant and dynamic political landscape, one that was more reflective of the diverse voices within the nation. The political reforms did more than just democratize Taiwan's government. They paved the way for a wave of economic reforms. These changes allowed Taiwan to adapt to the new economic reality post-Plaza Accord. The nation was able to pivot away from industries that were hurt by the currency appreciation and instead focus on sectors that could capitalize on it. The political reforms paved the way for a new era of economic growth. Taiwan's journey from an agrarian economy to a global technological powerhouse is a testament to its resilience and adaptability. It's a story of a nation that refused to be defined by its challenges, but rather chose to redefine itself in the face of them. China's efforts to attract Taiwanese companies led to a significant shift in Taiwan's economy. As China began to open its doors to foreign investment in the late 20th century, Taiwanese companies were among the first to take advantage of the opportunity. This resulted in a massive exodus of labor-intensive manufacturing from Taiwan to China, a trend that has continued to this day, shaping the economic landscape of both nations. This shift, however, has not been without its challenges. The departure of these industries left a void in Taiwan's economy, a void that needed to be filled. But Taiwan, with its resilient spirit and strategic economic planning, rose to the occasion. In the face of these changes, Taiwan pivoted to a high-tech, knowledge-based economy. The country's prowess in semiconductor manufacturing, led by companies such as Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, has positioned it as a global leader in the tech industry. This transformation has not been an easy one, but it has been a testament to Taiwan's adaptability and determination to maintain its economic sovereignty. Yet Taiwan's current economic climate remains subject to the influence of its more powerful neighboring nations. China, in particular, with its aim to reunify Taiwan, presents a continuing challenge. The political tension between the two nations has economic implications, with China's economic might often used as a tool to exert pressure on Taiwan. This has led to complex dynamics that Taiwan must navigate as it seeks to maintain its economic growth and stability. However, despite these challenges, Taiwan's economy has remained robust, demonstrating the country's resilience. Its transformation into an industrial and technological powerhouse has been nothing short of remarkable, a feat achieved through strategic planning, investment in education, and a focus on innovation. Despite the challenges, Taiwan has managed to carve out a prosperous future, standing as a testament to the power of resilience and strategic economic planning. It is a shining example of how a nation can overcome adversity and thrive in the global economy, charting its own course amidst external pressures and challenges.